Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Focusing. I'm your host, Ethan, and today we have another episode. I'm actually recording this one early because tomorrow I might be busy, so I may not have time to actually stay home and record. So I'm going to record this one early, just a day early though. This week I wanted to talk about the new M3 chip in the MacBooks. Apple did a whole event where it was at night. Well, night. I think it was like 8 o'clock on my time. And my thoughts on it are it's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of not discourse, but a lot of people aren't. I don't think a lot of people are flocking to the new M3. I could be lying about that. I mean, people are obviously going to upgrade maybe for personal reasons. Like the whole thing is that it can increase your workflow, and I understand that. But I'm seeing interesting things where people are actually still using the M1 Max MacBooks. So in a weird way, I feel like Apple has outplayed themselves. They've made their older chips so good, and I feel like it's hindering them and it's not at the same time. It's hindering them because now people aren't going to buy the newest chip and people aren't going to upgrade to the new M3 Max, M3 Pro and all that because my M1 MacBook is still keeping up fine. It's still crunching numbers. It's still crunching through everything. So I feel like they kind of outplayed themselves. However, it kind of adds to the reputation now because, oh, this is really reliable. It's something that people are willing to look forward to. So it's just like, oh, why should I spend $1,000 or however much the MacBook costs? I believe 3,000 in total if you want to max it out. I could be wrong on that. I think like, if I were to get into the Apple ecosystem, I just buy probably an M1 or an M2 MacBook and go there. It would be a huge upgrade for my laptop now because I mean, if I'm doing stuff like coding or photo editing, it's gonna crunch through that. It's gonna crunch through that, which I think is a really huge benefit. And also, I think I finally was able to answer some questions I have in regards to the whole Apple ecosystem, specifically just the iPad. I've never been a fan of the iPad, and it's not because I think it's bad or anything. I just think that, like, if you have your phone and you have your laptop, you're pretty much good. With an iPad, there's things you can do, but you have to buy accessories for it. And I kind of realized, okay, it's good for like watching shows, I guess. Yeah, you have a bigger screen, but I mean, I barely have time to sit down and watch shows. So it may not appeal to me. I think that was my major problem with the iPad. It just never appealed to me because it's not compatible with my workflow. If I'm gonna write up a Word document, I'm going to get a laptop. An Excel sheet, PowerPoint, I'm going to do it with a laptop. But I feel like since I'm going to college soon, I actually got accepted into one college, so yippee. Um, I feel like if, or not if, when I go to college, I guess like having an iPad or just any tablet of sorts to sit there and write notes, I guess it can work out because I've used an iPad yesterday, just using one of my friend's iPads, and like the thing, it feels really good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels almost close to pencil and paper, you know. You sit there, you're writing your notes, but I feel like it still has that digital thing because with pencil and paper, my handwriting isn't 1 to 1. I'd say right now it's 1 to 2 right now, you know, with the two being the iPad and Apple Pencil and the one being paper and pencil. It's there, latency wise, it's very accurate, but I feel like it still has that digital feeling where, and even she even has like the paper screen protector, which I think is kind of essential because when you're drawing on your phone or something like that, or not your phone, sorry, you're using an iPad or a tablet that has like a stylus to it, like the Samsung tablet with the stylus, the S Pen. I feel like, if you don't have that paper thing, it doesn't give you that same feel, and then it doesn't correlate in your brain where it's like, oh, it feels like I'm writing on paper, but you're not writing on paper. It just the paper screen protector, in my opinion, it just helps with it helps with writing something down. So I feel like that's something that's good too. But back to the whole M3 situation. I say situation as if it's bad, but like I said, I really think Apple has outplayed themselves. I don't think a lot of people are going to go and buy the new M3. Maybe some people may buy it. Maybe some people may need to upgrade. But it's kind of the same situation with the whole, Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch OLED. If you have a Nintendo Switch, do you really need to upgrade to an OLED? I mean, it's $50 more, but do you really need that whole screen thing? It's kind of, I feel like that's where the market has gone right now, where do you really need this upgrade? There's always a better product. I say that in air quotes, but then do you really need that better product, or is the product you have right now not serving the same purpose? I'm not in that problem right now. However, for example, my headphones, the Sony 1000 XM4s, they're really good. They hold up really, really well. But the Mark Fives are out. The XM 100 X, sorry, the 1000 XM5s, they're out. I'll refer to them as Mark 4s and Mark 5s from now on. They're out. However, they offer newer features, yes, but it's nothing too crazy where, if I use those, oh, it's gonna sound way better. Yeah, it's gonna sound better, but the Mark 4s sound good enough and they've been out for a while. The Mark 4s compared to the Mark 3s, I believe there was some feature upgrades where like noise canceling got better, and then you also have the multi-point thing where you can like connect to two devices at once, which is really good, at least for me. Well, when I use my laptop, I can connect to my laptop and my phone, so then I can just go and if I get a call, that's usually the most case scenario. I believe there's some headphones that have like a physical switch, so you can switch between whichever, Bluetooth device you're connected to. I wish that if Sony makes a Mark 6, if they make the Mark 6 that it has like a physical switch or something, you can like actually, switch between, because it's not easy. Sometimes I have to sit there, play something on the next device for a while for it to pick it up and realize, oh, you're playing something already. Because you have to pause it on one and then play on the other, So it's not easy. Like I said, I think the Bose headphones, I believe, I could be wrong about that, have like a physical switch you can just switch between two, which I think would be very, very convenient. But hey, I don't think Sony's listening to me. So one day, one day we'll have a physical switch. But I feel like, like I said, back to the whole M3 thing, Apple has outplayed themselves for better or for worse. You made a product so good that people aren't going to want to get the new product. I was just watching MKBHD's video this morning, and he says that he ordered the maxed out M3 and then literally said he canceled it and then actually just went back to his M1 Max. And I'm like, I can understand his reasoning because, I mean, it's still doing the same thing, maybe a little bit slower, but I mean, come on now. 30, I think it was like 60 or 30% faster than the M1 Max. And I'm like, yeah, that's a lot, but I mean, 30% slower and that thing's like a beast. Come on now. I don't think it's worth spending, Apple money for that, So I feel like Apple has outdone themselves. Also, Apple's really going into gaming now. I don't know how I feel about that. Um Apple, for example, Steam games, not all Steam games really support Apple Apple devices. They barely even support Linux, for crying out loud, and that's more, in my opinion, a bit more better than the Mac OS right now. But yeah, because most Steam games they are supported by Windows. So people, if they're running at a gaming PC, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna get Windows. Linux, people have the reasons for using Linux, so people will hop on Linux. But not a lot of games are supported by Linux. So sometimes you have to like build a virtual machine, and then you have to go buy that game and get that game, and then run it in the virtual machine. And it's so many loopholes you have to get through just to play on Linux. With Windows, it's people have the reasons for not using Windows, and that's okay. But gaming on a Mac, they advertise this, oh, you can ray trace and do all these things, but I mean, I don't see it as a gaming laptop. It's just weird to game on a Mac, at least for me. I look at it and I'm like, I don't know, you're not gonna really catch me playing Resident Evil 4 on a Mac, let alone a phone. So because they did advertise that for the iPhone 15. I think the Pro models, I think all the models can play it. They advertised it, and it was something like, "Oh, you can play Resident Evil 4 ray traced on," and I think you can play Resident Evil 4 ray traced on your phone, and it's actually based off the PS4 version. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just feel like getting into the whole gaming thing, it's gonna be a whole marketing push that they have to do. I know Apple has the Apple Arcade thing. I know other companies, they advertise, like Samsung, they advertise, oh, you can game on your phone for X amount of time, and I always see reviewers use Genshin Impact as a benchmark for gaming because that game is pretty intensive. But me personally, I don't really mobile game. I play more on my Switch. So I don't ever since I got my Switch, I kind of been out of mobile gaming. Mobile games haven't really been there. But that's not the topic of this episode. I I think if Apple's going to continue going in this route, maybe they should make gaming laptops. Maybe like their CPUs and everything is powerful enough. They have the power in them. But I don't think they're built for, I don't think they're built for gaming. I don't associate Apple and gaming. I associate more Android with gaming because you can actually do stuff on there. You can download games and max out settings and whatnot. But I feel like with Apple, I see Apple more as a productivity company. You want to make a blockbuster movie or something like that, you're most likely using Apple. I mean, you can use Windows too. People use Windows in the industry, but I feel like with Apple, I see it more as a productivity than really gaming or anything like that. But hey, I mean, if Apple decides to go in that route, by all means, go ahead. Just know that gaming is a very competitive market. Um, Trust me, Sega, Nintendo, they would know back in the 90s, it's a very competitive market, especially to go into PC gaming. Windows kind of has a grasp on that, or other companies. I know Razer, you also have I forgot the other company's name. Razer is the one I usually go to, which I would, I'm thinking of like, hey, when I upgrade to a laptop, I kind of want to get a Razer because I mean, it'll get my work done and then I can, and then some. So I wish the best of luck to Apple. In a weird way, I kind of want them to make a gaming laptop because, like I said, I see Apple more as a productivity company. You're most likely going to do work on a MacBook than really anything else. On Windows, you may download a game or two, you may do some stuff, but with Mac, I feel like they have the power. Like I was looking at the spec sheet for their laptops, or not laptops, the chips, the chipset, like 40 core GPU, 128 gigabytes of RAM. It's like I believe you can buy that on a Windows laptop. However, you usually don't. You usually get like what, 16, 32 gigabytes at most. CPU like Intel, like what, 14th gen. So I just feel like, you know Apple, if you're gonna go in there, if you're gonna go in the market, just be wary. It's a very competitive market, and I don't think that gaming's really your thing. But hey, you never know. Apple may dominate. But like I said, I see them more as productivity. Like you're more going to use a MacBook for like actually making videos, Premiere Pro, Photoshop. Heavy tasks. Windows can handle that, but Windows it's more for gaming because more games are supported and coded for Windows. So, and this for people who don't know, if you're wondering why, oh, you can't really game on Mac or you can't really game on Linux, it's because when you're actually building the games, say uses the architecture of the Windows of the Windows of Windows, the operating system. And this is just a brief explanation. It gets way deeper, but it uses that architecture. So it's you can't just it's kind of like moving a game from like the Sega Genesis to an Xbox. You can, but you have to code it around the Xbox or PlayStation, whatever you're coding it around. So you have to make it compatible. So that's really it. And I don't think a lot of people development development in itself is a whole fiasco. It's taking years to develop things, and so to do that like two times over, I don't think it's hard, but it will be a challenging task. Well, and that's it for this episode, people. Thank you for listening and tuning in. I really appreciate the support from everybody. I'm looking at my stats and they're going up slowly but surely. Like I said, this podcast has been my passion just to talk about photography and technology. And today I decided to talk about technology. I've, been on this photography streak a little bit. I think like two or three episodes has just been photography. So I kind of want to bounce back to technology and talk about that because that is something I'm also into. So I want to thank everybody for the support so far, and I'm gonna keep pushing. But until next time, focus in.